Namaste. So, in today's session, we'll talk about in Hindu philosophy, there is something called four highest goals. See, we all talk about what is the purpose of life, why have we come here, what is the meaning of this life, right? So the scriptures have dealt with this and they talk about what is called four Purusharthas. So the four aims of our life, the four very important goals of our life. See, there is something called this word is what is called Purushartha. Purusha plus Artha. Artha means meaning, what is the purpose, and Purusha means you and me. Purusha means the self. Purusha means the consciousness, the conscious being. So it is basically this conscious being, this Purusha. What is the goal of this Purusha in life? We have something called a span from birth to the last day, death. We have something called life. In this lifespan, then what is our purpose? What is our goal? What is it that we are supposed to do? So the scriptures, basically the Hindu scriptures, Vedas, they are not very specifically mentioned in any particular Veda or the Upanishads, but they have all come in the discussions. They have come in the discussions of the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. They have come in the discussions of the Upanishads and Vedas. But there is no very specific mention of these Purushas in any particular Upanishad or Veda. So these four Purusharthas these four goals are Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So in the very beginning, so let us start this way. If you go by the Sankhya philosophy, then you, that is me, this self, is made up of 24 tattvas, including the manas, including the mind. So basically this being, this individual is made up of 23 tattvas plus mind. So it is made up of 24 tattvas. But this so-called Purusha, the consciousness, it is on top of those 24 tattvas. It is not part of the 24 tattvas. So what it is basically saying is the 24 tattvas are somehow, they are perceivable and measurable. They are quantifiable. But this Purusha, the 25th one, is immeasurable. It is not quantifiable. It is immeasurable and hence it is spiritual. So this self, this Purusha, then it is coming from where? There is something called body and there is something called consciousness. These two are sort of hardware and software. Hardware is more like a stuffy thing. It is like a particle thing. It is sort of touch and feel. So it has some sort of a form. But let's say when you compare software with the hardware, it is formless. What kind of form it has? You tell me. So it has no form, no particular form. But the computer is not hardware or software. It is both together. That's why we are calling it as a computer. Because it is integrated in such a way that the software and hardware both are playing a particular role together harmoniously, and hence the computer. Same is the case with us. So this body and consciousness, the body is sort of a hardware and the consciousness is sort of a software, sort of an operating system. So it is formless, and this you may call, this body may have some kind of a form. You can touch and feel, you can measure some kind of a geography. But consciousness, what kind of geography? And when science approaches consciousness, science approaches it approaches it as some kind of a physical stuff. No, it is not a physical stuff. Like for instance, there are so many theories when it comes to consciousness. You can't even imagine, there are n number of theories when it comes to consciousness in science. But the scriptures have also dealt on consciousness. They call the name that they gave, Purusha is one name, the name that they give is Chaitanya or consciousness. So the Mandukya Upanishad defines consciousness, and it says very bluntly in the very start, whatever you think of is not consciousness. Then what will you do? So we are made of these two, Purusha and the body, Purusha and the Prakriti. One element, whatever I am saying 24, is coming from Prakriti, and there is another element, the 25th one, that is coming from Purusha. But then this being, this individual conscious being, it is coming from where? It has to come from somewhere. We are subset of something. So we are coming what is called Param Purusha, the supreme consciousness. Now in the we say the whole thing, all that is the existence, and the science says it is sort of we give a name, another name called cosmos. But in scriptures we have something called Brahma and Brahman. In English it is Brahman, but in Sanskrit it is Brahma. But Brahma and Brahma are two separate things. Then what is Brahma and what is Brahma? We'll equate that with what science is saying. The cosmos, something physical, something measurable, something seeable, that cosmos is equivalent to Brahma, Brahma the deity. But the cosmic consciousness, the operating system, the mind, the conscious part, the immeasurable part, that we are saying cosmic consciousness. Same like hardware and software for a computer, and you think that is a hardware and software for a server, or hardware and software for a cloud, because then we have gone far ahead of the servers. It is not now a simple network of servers. We are living in a network of clouds. So think that way. Cloud, all the hardware that you are talking about for that cloud, you think that it is sort of a cosmos. You say it is like a computer, it is like a prakriti, it is like a body, and the software that is on top of it, you think it is sort of a consciousness, it is sort of a mind. So when it comes to, let us say, the cosmos, Brahma means the cosmos, and Brahman, the Brahma, means the cosmic consciousness. So that cosmic consciousness is Param Purusha. Param means something beyond this. It is Para. It is not part of science at all. So this basic distinction I always keep on making it. What is the difference that I keep? When I say spiritual, it simply means it is not measurable by the method called science. See, science is a method. So when I say spiritual, it simply means it is something that cannot come within the purview of science. Science as a yardstick, science as a method, or science through something called experiments cannot catch hold of it. No matter you do what, science can never catch hold of what consciousness is. It will always remain beyond the purview of science. That immeasurable one is what I am calling spirituality. But in the realm of spirituality, you can experience consciousness. Mandukya Upanishad is not saying that you cannot experience it. But Mandukya Upanishad is saying whatever that you can think of is not consciousness. Then what is it then? Then your thoughtless awareness is consciousness. See, thought which is coming from your mind, when I said these 24 tattvas, 23 plus 1 which is your mind, This mind is psychological, but mind is made up of thoughts. Mind is made up of ideas, which I said, the database that is sitting on top of your software, that on top of your computer, or on top of your server, or on top of your cloud, whatever you call it, the hardware and software put together, there is something, the database that is going into it, your data. That data is what is your mind. So your mind is made up of thoughts. So consciousness is something like an ocean, and your thought is arising in that ocean as a wave. Or let's say there is a huge ocean, and then in that ocean one island arises somewhere in between. That island which arises is sort of a thought. So you are living in a thought world. Your world is made up of thoughts. So that thought is an object in consciousness. So that thought as an object is arising in consciousness, but it is not consciousness. So whatever the experience that you are having about that thought is your mind. It is only your experience about that thought, but not the experience of consciousness. So when the thought disappears, there is also a state. You will have an experience. When the thought disappears, then there what is happening? Then you are becoming consciousness of consciousness. Then you are becoming consciousness of who you truly are, because the thought is no more. So you are becoming conscious of your consciousness. So this state, this experience of becoming conscious of your consciousness, this whole sentence you can substitute by a word called awareness. So awareness is nothing but you are becoming conscious of consciousness, because there is no thought at all. So it is a no mind experience. That is what is called awakening or awareness or enlightenment. Now that is experientially is what I am saying. I am saying that is a realm of spirituality. That is not into the realm of science at all. So it is that Purusha. So when you are coming in this life, when this Purusha is coming in this life, this Purusha has got a span. Even Brahma also has got a span. Then what is Brahma? Which I said, Brahma the deity or Brahma the cosmos. Cosmos is nothing but a thought in the mind of God. Your world, your thought world is a thought in your consciousness. Now the cosmos is a thought in the mind of God, in the consciousness of God, that Param Purusha, that supreme consciousness. So just like consciousness, in the ocean of the supreme consciousness, that cosmos is just like a thought. It will come, it will arise, and it will disappear. So what the science is saying, this whole cosmos has come from where? The Rigveda is saying this whole cosmos is what is called, this whole, all that we have is what is called Sat. So they are saying Sat is born. But if you ask a Upanishadic Rishi, where from this Sat has come? He will simply say, this Sat has come from Asat. Same like what science is saying. Science is saying, if you ask a scientist, where from this whole has come, this existence has come, they will say, this existence has come from nothing. So there is something called something and nothing. So this something is this whole cosmos, whatever that you have. Where from it has come? It has come from that nothing. And in the, let's say, in the domain of spirituality, or in the domain of, let's say, Vedanta, Advaita, then they are saying, in the Rigvedic phrase which I said, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. That Sat is this whole. And from where this Sat has come? This Sat has come from the Asat. So, if you want me to differentiate between Sat and Asat, Sat is, if you say Sat is something, then Asat is nothing. If you say Sat is being, then Asat is non-being. If you say Sat is sort of a physical thing, then Asat is spiritual thing. If you say Sat is something measurable, then Asat is immeasurable. If you say Sat is something perceivable, then Asat is imperceivable. So the so-called God, to me, God means that non-dual entity that is made up of these two layers. These two layers are not different. It is made up of two layers. One layer is what is called something perceivable. We say visible universe. Beyond that, there is no end to it. There is something that we cannot measure. So there will always be two layers, measurable and immeasurable, perceivable and imperceivable. So the scriptures have also dealt in a similar manner. They are saying Sat and the Asat. So this Sat, this whole thing has emerged from the Asat. Then what is the difference? This is very beautiful. Why they are saying Asat? Why they are saying nothing? Because the Upanishads have a very beautiful definition when it comes to nothing. See, this nothing has to be dealt at various levels. I will do it in some other video or in some other session, because there is something called nothing in science. There is something called nothing in business. There is something called nothing in our mundane life. There is something called nothing in information technology. There is something called nothing in quantum physics. There is something called nothing in science. So nothing has many definitions. Nothing has many aspects. We'll cover that in some other this one. But basically today, where I want to touch upon when it comes to this nothing from the spiritual side of it or from the Vedantic side of it, the Upanishadic definition is, if you remove something from nothing, only nothing will remain. If you add something in nothing, only nothing will remain. You can do something with something. You can tweak, you can twitch, you can do something, but you can't do anything with nothing. Now, you can argue this with darkness and light. You tell me, what can you do with darkness? It is already there. You can't do anything. Whatever you have to do with light. If you bring in light, darkness disappears. If you take away the light, darkness again comes back. It is already there by default. So you can't do anything with darkness. Whatever you have to do with something with light. In a similar way, they have defined that nothing. The nothing means there cannot be anything beyond nothing. So it has all your search, argumentation, words, philosophies, then eventually your spiritual experience. Somewhere it has to end, right? There has to be a full stop. You cannot go on and on like a infinite progression, or you cannot go back and back like a infinite regression. Infinite progression, infinite regression is of no meaning. It is like that. I often take this example, like the scientist is like the dog which is revolving around to catch hold of its own tail, but it cannot. It is sort of like that. It is sort of a philosopher. But spirituality, it has to somewhere culminate. That's why they called it non-dual. So that nothing is non-dual. Something, all your experiences, your eventual spiritual experience, which we are giving it as a name of enlightenment or awakening, has to end in the non-dual experience, beyond which there cannot be, right? So here we are talking about this Purusha who has come now in life. Then what is the purpose of this Purusha? Because this Purusha has to have some meaning, no? What will I do? I have come. I got to do something, no? So this philosophy is guiding you. So it is saying there are 4 goals, friends. And it is saying Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. And then, because see, in our life, we want to be rich from all sides. Rich within and rich without. Vedanta is not interested in beggars. Vedanta is interested in emperors. You got to be an emperor in the outside world, and you also got to be an emperor in your inner world. So Vedanta is not for beggars. So Vedanta is saying these 4 goals are very holistic. These 4 goals will make you a grounded person. It will give you a fulfillment. Only if you tackle only one of it, then it will not give you the total fulfillment. So it is dividing our goal, the purpose of our life, the aim of our life into 4 aims. So first is the Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Now Dharma is the first one. But in some discussions, they are not starting with Dharma. They are starting with Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. Now why this is coming? This is very important. These kind of people who want to start with Artha, they don't want to deal with Dharma in the very beginning itself. They are scared of, probably. When I go into the psyche, I get the same feeling. They are scared of. They don't want to tackle Dharma in the very beginning. They want to go with Artha, something related with money, something related with finances, something related with security goals, something related with roti kapda makan we say. Then there is something called love life or the sense gratification. Life that is rich with, let's say, songs, dance, food, love life, the sex life. So that is Kama. And they are saying, okay, this Dharma we'll see later. We don't know what it is. So Dharma and Moksha. Oh, Moksha, in most of our discussions in the past, when it comes to Moksha, we talked about something after death. No, it is not like that. Moksha means liberation. It's a total freedom. Something we say free will. We keep on bringing this in our discussion, something called destiny and free will. Friend, birth and death are destiny, they are not there in our hand. But enlightenment is a free will. Moksha is a free will. It is in our hand. Are you understanding how I am bringing this argument? I am saying birth and death are like destiny. You cannot change it. I have not chosen my life. And my death is not in my hand. Nobody has escaped from it. Today or tomorrow, it is bound to come, which we say it is inevitable. Sure to happen today or tomorrow. So we are classifying them as destiny. You call them destiny. Destiny means you cannot change it. They are not there in your hand. So some parts are part of destiny. You can't do anything. You can't change it. You accept it. So we accept birth, we accept death. But there is something called whatever that we can do. All these 4 Purushas, four goals, they are part of our free will. We can achieve them, we can do them, we can attain them, we can effort at them, we can try at them. They are part of our free will. They are not part of our destiny. So this is how we have to distinguish between destiny and free will. So what I am saying, the ultimate thing, let's say awakening or enlightenment or nirvana or liberation from the cycle of whatever you call, coming and going, this whole cycle, you call it life, birth, death, that we are calling. The freedom from that is what is called, the ultimate freedom is what is called, we are calling moksha. You give whatever name, you call nirvana, you call liberation, you say enlightenment, you say kaivalya samadhi, you say whatever. That freedom we are calling moksha. So I am saying, my argument here is, no, it is not that you start with artha, kama, then we'll think of dharma and moksha. It is not like that. They are all there together. It is not that you will leave one and jump on the other. It is not that, okay, you will tackle one and leave the other. These four are there in such a way, you are doing this back and forth journey. You are swinging this side and that side. You are going back and you are coming back. You are going again and again coming back. So you are switching and going in all of them every day, every moment, and trying to bring in that balance and trying to bring in what is first, what is a priority, what is today, what is tomorrow. What I am only saying is they are all there together. So I am saying first is dharma. So this dharma, there is no one definition at all. Dharma is something that is sustaining all this, or dharma is something that is upholding all this, or dharma is something that is keeping all this in balance. Buddha says, yes dhammo sanantano. So Buddha is saying it is that law from which all laws are coming. For instance, in science there were 5 laws and 5 forces, and then the electric force and magnetic force together have become electromagnetic force, and then we have 4 forces of nature. But what the science is saying when you go back and back and back at the very instance of the Big Bang, these forces converge and will become into one resultant force. In a similar way, Vedanta is saying it is a unifying law. Rest all other laws have come from it. The other laws have taken birth from it. But that law is the law of all laws. So it is upholding everything, it is keeping everything in balance. That law is what is called dharma. Now that law is sanatan. That law, they said, is eternal. It is there from the very beginning, if there was any beginning. It will going to be there till the very end, if there is going to be any end. But this in this beginning and end, let us say, if this, from the point of science will say, okay, this universe has come from nothing, and then one day it will end up like a big freeze or big crunch. So it will die. But Vedanta doesn't speak that way. Vedanta talks about Anadi and Ananta. The universes will emerge like a thought is emerging in your consciousness. They will emerge and they will re-emerge, they will appear and they will disappear. But that nothingness will always remain as nothingness. It was ever there. So in Vedanta we are talking about Anadi and Ananta. It is a beginningless beginning and endless end. These type of universes are coming, appearing and disappearing. They are coming and going. So your thought world is arising in your consciousness and it is disappearing in your consciousness. So you are creating so many universes in your own awareness. So in this discussion, Dharma is this. Dharma has many connotations, many aspects of it. Foremost is the one that is keeping everything in balance. But what about, we said the cosmos and the cosmic consciousness are in balance because of Dharma. But what about we? What about this Purusha? The Param Purusha is already in balance. Let us just not talk about it. What kind of imbalance you want to bring in Param Purusha? It is beyond your scope. The question does not even arise. But what about this Purusha? This Purusha can be in imbalance. Correct? So, what about the Dharma of this Purusha? It has to be a subset of that Dharma, right? Because this Purusha also has to be in balance. Now, if I am in imbalance, how will I attain the other goals? Let's say my Dharma, the very first goal, let's say that is imbalance. This Purusha is imbalanced. What will I do with Artha, Kama and Moksha? How can they be balanced? Just think of this logic. How can you keep Dharma later? We cannot afford to. So what I am just saying that is first this individual cosmic balance, this individual balance of this Purusha is Dharma. Finding my own balance is Dharma. Then finding my balance with Artha, Kama and Moksha. How much of love life? Would you like to have 100 wives? Would you like to have 10 wives? Would you like to have 2 wives? How many relationships? Like to have 100? How much money? How much? Billionaire or a trillionaire or how? We all know about Brian Johnson. He's a tech millionaire. But he's scared about his death, no? He's trying that anti-aging techniques in science. He wants to see that he's immortal. In science, they think it may be possible, so he's attempting, right? So in these 4 goals, I am saying Dharma is the very first and foremost, which is a subset of that Dharma. So if it is cosmic balance, what about the individual balance? I have to attain to my own inner balance, then my balance with the cosmos, then my cosmic balance. So this Purusha has to find its own balance. Now this Purusha, so this consciousness, now how to identify? We'll go to the other goals. We'll go to Artha, we'll go to Kama and we'll go to Moksha. Let us tackle now Dharma. Now Dharma, this so-called Purusha, this consciousness, has got 3 gunas. See, when you Google, in the Shastras are telling about 4 gunas. So when you Google, you will get only 3 gunas. They will mention about only 3 gunas. 3 attributes, 3 natures. Guna means the type, it is an attribute, it is kind of a state. What is the state of your mind? So it describes the gunas of your Purusha as Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. These are your 3. At the most you can be classified. You can go further down, further deeper, but at the very top I say plus, minus and neutral. So you can be classified yes, no and I can't say. Yes, no, neutral, I can't say. plus, minus and neutral. In a similar way, it is Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. So these are the three gunas of you, of this Purusha. So it can be classified what kind of man I am, what kind of person I am, whether I am balanced or whether I am imbalanced, whether I am happy or unhappy, whether I am sad or happy, whether I am happy or blissful. What kind of a person or personality I am, how to classify. So for this Purusha to classify, we have got 4 gunas. I talked about these 3 gunas, but then what about the 4th guna? I told you in the Mandukya Upanishad there is something called 4th. The 4th guna is what is called Nirguna. Why it is Nirguna? Because it is beyond attributes. It is not within the purview of your mind. You cannot classify it by way of a word. And hence Chaturtham, hence the 4th, hence Advitiyam, or hence Nirguna. Then that Nirguna, that nature, that attribute, whose attribute it is? It is the attribute of that Param Purusha, the supreme consciousness of which you are the subset. You and me, this self, this individual consciousness is a subset. This Purusha is a subset of that Param Purusha. Then what is the nature of that Param Purusha? That Param Purusha is Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. That Param Purusha is, it is a Nirgun Brahman. It is a Nirgun Brahm. Just don't even think of classifying it by way of words. Not at all possible. Hence we are saying it has to somewhere culminate in an experience. That experience we are calling the non-dual experience, where duality disappears. All kind of conflict which is prevailing in your mind disappears in that state. That state is the state of Nirguna, is what we are saying. And that is the state of that God. That is the state of that Param Purusha. We also try to put it in 3 aspects. We say it is Satyam, it is Shivam, it is Sundaram. Now Satyam means, again I said, truth. So it is truthful in a sense. By adding or removing something, you cannot make it a bigger truth or a smaller truth. Or by removing something, you cannot make it untruth. See, if you are able to modify the Param Purusha by, let us say, science, you want to add something to it and increase the definition of it, increase the attribute of it. So you are saying you are adding something in truth and making it as a bigger truth. Or you are removing something from it and you are making it as an untruth or a big lie. Then it is not that truth that we are talking about. When we are say Satyam, no matter you do what, it will remain as truth. Hence it is that Satyam. Okay. Now coming to Satyam, Shivam. Now Shivam is a word that is coming from Lord Shiva. We say Shankara, we say Shambhu, we say Shiva. Now when you go into this word Shiva, Shava, there is another word called Shava. Shava means a dead body. What happens when you remove consciousness from this body? This body is a dead body. What will you do with that dead body? It will perish, it will decay, it will disappear. It will disappear in the Prakriti. Whatever that is made up of those 24 tattvas, it will disappear into all its possible small elements. The moment the conscious element goes away, So there is something that is making me conscious. The moment that is removed, I become a dead body. So Shava is not Shiva. Then who is Shiva? Shiva is a blissful body. The one who has attained to blissfulness. Who attains to blissfulness? You tell me. The one who knows that principle which is deathless. The one, there is something in you which is imperishable. We are saying soul neither dies nor it is ever born. So the question of dying does not arise because it is unborn. It is immortal. So when you experience that deathless, when you experience that soul, when you experience your own center of your being, when you experience your own balance within, that unifying one, I keep on always saying, don't think like Buddha says there is no soul, he says anatta. Krishna said there is soul. So he talked about Atman. It can neither be burned nor can be done anything with it. It is unborn and it is immortal, he said. But both are your avatars of Vishnu. So both of them have said, one has said no Atman, another said Atman. Then you are in a big confusion. Then what to do? But I am also going to tell you, I am saying Atman is there in you, but it is there in a potential state. बाप की जागीरी नहीं है, मतलब it is not my father's right. It is not available to me by default. I can access it by design. It is not available to me by default. Stephen Hawking talks about grand design, right? So this whole being is a grand design. So we can access that element which I am saying, soul, immeasurable one, a spiritual one, but it is in a potential state, friend. It is not in a static state. It is not available to us by default. So there is a method by which you can realize that is what we are calling Shivam. Shivam means that blissful state. So that blissful state is coming from the awareness of that deathless within you. Then the third aspect, Sundaram. Sundaram means a beautiful one. By adding or removing, can you remove the beauty of this existence? By adding something or removing something, can you extend or remove the inner beauty of your soul? Your soul is ever beautiful. You can't do anything with it. So what I'm saying is, it is not that you will add something in it and it will become more beautiful. Or it is not something that you will remove something from it and you will make it ugly. No. The one that is ever beautiful, Sundaram. See, for example, Ashtavakra was bent at 8 places in his body. But he was an enlightened being. He was the guru of he was the guru of King Janaka. Is Janaka a stupid king that he made a person who is bent at 8 places in his body? That's why his name Ashtavakra. His body was deformed at 8 places. So he had a physical disability, but he didn't have a spiritual disability. I can be blind by my eyes. So I can be blind physically. But nobody, now suppose if that is my destiny, if so let us say nothing can be done, but nobody can stop me from being spiritually seeing the deathless one. Nobody can deny spiritual eyes from me, even if I am physically blind. So there we are saying Sundaram. So we are just expressing that Lord, Lord of all Lords. We are saying that Param Purusha. We are just expressing it in three aspects: Satyam, Shivam, and Sundaram. This is the nature of that Dharma. When I am saying Dharma, it is too a complicated thing because it has so many connotations to it. It is something called, we have something called Dharma, then we have something called Swadharma, then we have something called Pardharma, we have something called Rashtra Dharma, then we have something called Sanatan Dharma. That Dharma is what we are saying Sanatan Dharma, that eternal one. Then comes to the individual Dharma, my inner balance, the discovering of my own soul. You call it my enlightenment, you call it my awakening, or whatever that you want to call it. That balance, my inner balance, that I am calling Dharma. And then let us say, coming to what is called Swadharma, that is my Swadharma. For example, I know for very well that it is not my nature to be a software expert. I can be a media expert. My nature is telling me I can be a media expert. But somebody has told you, no, you will not get a good job. You will get good money if you become a software expert. Then what you are doing? You are flowing with your Paradharma, because you have seen somebody excelling in software, and hence you are moving. You have observed somebody, you have observed somebody's Dharma, he has excelled in that Dharma, and you want to be a copy of somebody. So you are just saying, I will move with Paradharma, I will move with the Dharma of the other. Then you will not succeed. Even if you succeed, you will not be happy. So there we are saying something called Paradharma, flowing or moving in the Dharma of the other. So Krishna is saying, Swadharme nidhanam shreya, Paradharme bhayava. No matter what, even if you have to die, even if you die in your Swadharma, it is better you flow in your Swadharma. So what it is basically saying is, you discover your own nature. What is it that you like? What is it that you grow in? What is it that is becoming easy to you? See, there is something in each one of us. There is something that is telling you there are some things which become very easy to you. There may be a person, cooking may be very easy to that person. So that person, there is every possibility, there is every probability that person can become one of the best chefs. But if that person moves away from his Swadharma and let's say ventures into some other profession, there is every possibility of failure. So that is what we are saying Swadharma. And we are distinguishing that from Paradharma. And then let us say, fortunately, if you become a king, if you become a prime minister, then you have other duties. Then we are saying Rashtra Dharma. Then there you cannot say, no, I am a Hindu king or I am a Hindu PM, so I will only see the welfare of the Hindus. Or let us say you are a prime minister belonging to, let's say, some other sect, and then you are saying no, you will take care of only welfare of that particular sect. Like in politics, we have all jatis, then we have people coming from different religions. No, Rashtra Dharma, the one at the head of the state, everybody is at par, no? So there is something called Rashtra Dharma, to see the collective humanity at par. So bringing a balance, bringing in a balance at the level of the Rashtra is what Rashtra Dharma is. So Dharma is that one goal which I am saying, trying to attain the inner balance and then moving forward in life for attaining to the other goals. The goal of Artha, which is related to finance, economics, the financial well-being, you call it your financial well-being, the economic well-being, most important. Then the economic well-being of your own nation. It is my comparison with other people, maybe at the level of, let's say, finances, but it is also the comparison between nations. Some nations are rich, some nations are poor, some individuals are poor, some individuals are rich, some individuals are millionaires and trillionaires and billionaires. So it is the second goal is the goal of Artha. We'll go in deep into that goal. I am trying to end because it is reaching somewhere 50 minutes. So in this video I want to tackle only Dharma. Artha, we'll talk about it. Artha is your financial goal. Kama is your goal of love, goal of sense gratification, goal of loving everything in life, liking whatever that pleases you to your eyes. It can be love of dance, it can be love of music, it can be love of food, it can be love of sex. So it is those attainments, it is those achievements of our life. And then finally it is something called Moksha. Moksha is the ultimate freedom from everything. If you ask me, freedom from this idiot, freedom from this ego, freedom from the ego self, and attaining to the supreme self. Knowing the Param Purusha, knowing the supreme self is possible when I sacrifice my ego self. That is what is called moksha, the ultimate freedom. And it can be part of our free will. It is not part of our destiny. So I want to stop it now. This we discussed on Dharma. Maybe in the next video again, if there is anything that I want that can be spoken on Dharma, the first goal, I will again cover that. In the next videos, we will talk about the other three goals, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So this is it today as far as the Purusharthas, the four goals of this Purusha in the life. Today we covered only Dharma. I will further extend on this if possible. And in the coming videos, I will talk about Artha, Kama and Moksha. This way we will cover the four very important aims or goals in our life, in the life of this Purusha, in the life of this individual being. See this so-called Purusha, which I'm saying consciousness. This consciousness has got 9 layers. We'll talk about those 9 layers. The last layer is the layer of nothingness, pure nothingness. These layers are at the individual level, at the collective level, at the collective consciousness, the collective humanity, and at the level of the cosmic consciousness. There are 9 layers. The 9th layer is the layer of nothingness, the last layer. So this is it. I will stop it today. So thank you so much for watching. We'll continue this discussion again. Thank you so much.